we're going to write the equations in standard and in general form. Let's have this equation, 3x minus 4 over 5 is equal to 7y. Since we determine whether point negative 2, 3, and point 1, negative 4 are solutions of the equation 3x plus 4y is equal to 6. Let's have the graph of 2x plus y is equal to 1. First, we need to write the equation in slope-intercept form to determine the y-intercept of the equation. Let's try to graph x minus 3y is equal to 2. Good afternoon po or magandang araw po sa bawat isa, lalong-lalo na po sa ating mga kamatuto. Today po ay i-discuss namin sa inyo ang isang napahalagang topic sa grade 7 po. So ito po ay all about the real number system. So handa na po ba ang lahat? So before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget also to like and share the videos there. And thank you for your likes po and your comments din po. So let's start na po. We have the real number system. Let's talk about sets. In the different branches of mathematics and other fields of science, the concept of set is a basic fundamental notion that we should give importance. The concept of set is so basic and it is impossible for us to define what is set. Therefore, set is simply described in terms of properties of those objects that belong to the set. So if we're going to formally define set, it is defined as a collection of objects whose properties are well defined so that there is no question as to whether a certain object does or does not belong to the set. So we have the following examples below para masabi nating isa siyang set. So let's start with the set of all positive numbers greater than 5. So this set is a well-defined since ang specific characteristics niya ay positive numbers greater than 5. So we can say that the elements belong to these sets are 6, 7, 8, and so on. Then, we have also the set of freshman college students in your school. So if we're going to determine the specific characteristics of college students, so naka-specific po dito na freshman lang po yung mga students na belong dito sa set. So there are other examples or we can give you another examples of a well-defined set. Example pa natin is the set of algebra books in your library or in our library. We have also the set of months with 31 days. So, ang mga months within this set ay yung mga months na mayroong 31 days sa ating calendar. And we have also the set of past presidents of the Philippines. So, nakaspecific dito na yung set contained all the past presidents who ran or who govern our country. Sets can be identified or named with the use of capital letters or symbols. Sets are usually represented by listing their elements separated by commas within its braces. So, yan po yung symbol ng braces. And if we're going to define what is an element, ito po yung mga members ng set po. So, kung ano yung mga nasa loob ng set, these are called elements po. So, mayroon po tayong example. So, set N or N contains the elements 3, 5, 7. So, if we're going to read the set of odd numbers whose elements are 3, 5, 7. So, this is an example of finite set since we can count all the elements belong to this set po. We have also set A. Set A contains the elements A, B, C up to C. So if we're going to read this set of English alphabet whose letters starts from A, B, C up to say. So, yan po yung mga examples ng ating set. So, we can represent any capital letter or symbol corresponding to the set based on the given discussion. Pag sinabi po nating element or member, it is represented by small numbers or letters or even the name of the object itself that belongs to the set. So, we have the symbol which indicate membership in a set. So, pag nakita po natin yung symbol na E, meaning that the element belongs to the set po. And we have also the symbol denotes that a member or the element does not belong to the set. And we have also the concept of sets. The set of all positive numbers greater than 5. If we say A be the set of all positive numbers greater than 5, then we can say that the number 8 belongs to A. So, ibig sabihin, 8 is an element of A. Similarly, 4 is not an element of A. So, if we're going to write it using the symbol, 4 is not element of A. So, yung symbol po natin na E with a slash. We have two ways on how we are describing a set po. We have the roster method and we have the rule method. So, pag sinabi po natin roster method, this is a method in which we indicate a set by listing the element and enclosing them in braces. So, we enumerate all the elements that belongs to the set. And we have the rule method. We indicate a set by describing the elements. So, let's have a set whose elements are whole numbers less than 8 po. Then, we have set W contains 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, these are whole numbers less than 8 po. This is written or described using the roster method po. If we're going to describe the set using the rule method, we write it using a brace and we are going to read it as x such that x is a whole number less than 8. So, laging tatandaan po na yung ating rule method is we use is po or singular form of the verb po. And we have x or set x 1, 2, 3 and we can say that x is an element of W. Since the elements that can be found in set X are also found in set W po. And we have the following kinds of set po. So if we're going to define it one by one, we have the finite set. Pag sinabi natin finite set, all elements can be enumerated or can be counted po with our hands po. Pag sinabi natin infinite set, it can't be enumerated since we are using the symbol dot, or the 3 dots. And we have also the unit set, a set which has only one element. We have also the null or empty set, a set which has no element and represented by O with a slash po. Another one, we have also the universal set, a set which has all the possible elements under the consideration, and it is denoted with a capital letter U. Let's have the operations and sets. So, union, intersection, complementation, set difference, and Cartesian product. So, set C and set B. So, if we have two sets, C and B, so if we're going to perform the union of set, so the symbol for union is U. C union B means that the set have elements that belong to C or B. Or in other description, yun po yung ating union of two sets. Let's have examples of sets. B contains the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or in rule method, we can describe this set as set of counting numbers less than 9. And we have set C, 1, 3, 5, 7, or set of odd numbers from 1 to 7. Letter D, we have set D rather. We have the elements 2, 4. For set E, we have the elements 1, 4. For set F, we have negative 2, negative 1, 0. If we're going to perform the union of two sets, B union C, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we write the elements belong to set B and set C. For C union D, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And remember that if elements are repeated, we write it once only. For C union E, we have the elements 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. And for D union F, we have the elements negative 2, negative 1, 0, 2, and 4. Let's proceed now for the intersections of two sets. Set C and B. So yung ating symbol naman ng intersection is inverted U po. So B intersection C rather, denoted the intersection of B and C. B intersection C, which refers to the set whose elements belongs to both B and C. So we describe this in rule method using X such that X belongs to B and X belongs to C. So let's have sets B, C, D, and E. Identify or determine B intersection C. So what are the elements that common to both sets? We have 1, 3, and 5. So common po yung 1, 3, and 5. Same with set C, 1, 3, 5. How about sets, the intersections of sets C and D? We have no element or empty set. Since sa set C, 1, 3, 5. Sa set D, 2, 4, 6. So, two sets have no common element. For D intersection E, so what is the common element in these two sets? So we have 4. So in this case po, we have unit set. Dun po sa kanina, sa intersection ng C and D, we have null or empty set. So let's have the complement of a set po. Set B, or we denote complement using an apostrophe after the set po. Denoted the complement of B read as B prime, which refers to the set whose elements are not in B, but elements of the universal set U. So ito naman yung ating mga elements na wala sa set B na meron sa ating universal set po. Or in rule method, X such that X does not belong to B and X belong to U, or in our universal set po. Let's have the universal set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have set P 3, 5, 7. And set S 2, 3, 4, 5. So give P prime. So ano yung mga elements na wala sa P na makikita natin sa universal set? So ito na po. We have 1, 2, 4, 6, and 8. For S prime, ano naman yung mga elements na makikita sa universal set na wala sa set S? So we have 1, 6, 7, and 8. Next one, we have a challenging example. We first find the union of P and S. So we're going to find the union of this set. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And then, find the complement of this union. We have 1, 6, and 8. And the next one, we first find the intersections of P and S. So, kung titingnan po natin yung ating sets P and S, ang common elements po natin ay 3, 5. So, ano po yung meron sa universal set na wala sa intersection ng dalawang sets? So, we have 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 po. So, yun po yung ating complement of a set. Set difference. We have set B and set C. So, B minus C denoted the difference of B and C, read as B minus C, which refers to the set whose elements belongs to B and not in C. B minus C is an element that contains X such that X belongs to B and X does not belongs to C. So, ito po. Element of B and not an element of C. We have B, C, T, V. So, yan po yung mga elements nila. B minus C. So, ano po yung mga elements na meron sa B and wala sa C? So, we have 3, 4, and 6. Yung ating D minus C, magkaiba po yung C minus B. So, dito naman sa C minus B, ano yung meron sa C na wala sa B? So, we have 8 and 9. Since 1, 2, 5 can be found in set B. T minus C. So, ano yung meron sa T na wala sa C? So, ang meron lang 8. So, merong 8 sa C and merong 8 din sa T. So, kaya ang ating T minus C, 7, 10, 13, 15, and 20. Then, for V minus T, negative 5, negative 4, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 5. Since 8 and 10 can be found in set T. So, yan po yung ating set difference. So, lang tatandaan po na magkaiba po ang B minus C sa C minus B. Next, we have the Cartesian product. We have sets B and C. So, we denote X is an element of B, meaning X belongs to B, and Y is an element of C, meaning Y belongs to C. B times C denoted the Cartesian product of B and C, read as B cross C, which refers to the set whose elements are ordered pairs. So we have XY, or set of ordered pair XY. X belongs to B and Y belongs to C. So yan po yung ating definition ng Cartesian product po. Let's have set B. Contains the elements 2, 3. And for set C, we have negative 1, 5, and 7. So find or determine B cross C. So we're going to multiply the elements from B to C. So 2 times negative 1, 2 times 5, 2 times 7. And we have also 3. So i-multiply natin siya sa element ng C sa lahat. 3 times negative, 3 negative 1. So hindi po pala siya i-multiply, kundi ay we determine or we form ordered pairs XY. So yung X natin ay yung elements ng B and yung Y po natin ay elements ng C po. Then, magkaiba po yung B cross C sa C cross B. So ito na po yung C cross B. So yung ating X naman dito or yung ating X coordinate ay yung ating elements ng C and yung ating Y coordinates ay yung ating elements ng B. So we have negative 1, 2, negative 1, 3, 5, 2, 5, 3, 7, 2, 7, 3. So, magkaiba po yung ating B cross C and C cross B. So, baliktad po yung ating set of ordered pairs po. Next, we have to discuss real numbers po. So, the most important number system in algebra, and it is the result of gradual development in the different number system. So, we have the natural numbers or counting numbers. Ano po yung mga counting numbers or natural numbers? So, ito po yung x is that x, 1, 2, 3, so on po. So, pag sinabi naman natin whole numbers, starts from 0 and all counting numbers po. So, included po yung 0 sa whole number po. Integers, we have the positive and the negative integers. So, included po yung 0. So, we have set of rational numbers. So, pag sinabi po natin set of rational numbers, it can be expressed in a ratio, A over B, where B must not be equal to 0. So, dapat hindi po 0 yung ating denominator. So, rational numbers. A numbers can be either repeating or terminating when a rational number is presented in decimals. So, repeating numbers are usually presented with a dash sign written above the number or numbers being repeated po. So, meron po tayong mga repeating numbers. So, we have negative 1, 0, 15, negative 6, 7, negative 2, 3,000 are integers po. So, integers po yan. 1 over 4 is a rational number po. Pero, this is an example of terminating number. 3 over 11 or in decimal form, we have 0.272727. So, this is example of repeating number po or repeating decimals. So, pwede po natin ilagyan na lang ng dash yung 27 since yung 27 po ay repeating po. We have also rational numbers. When a certain numbers or number is non-repeating or non-terminating po. Non-rational and hence cannot be named with fractional notation A over B and belongs to a set of infinite elements. So we have square root of 2, square root of 3, square root of 5. This is an example of irrational numbers. Square root of 25 and square root of 81 are real numbers. Since the square root of 25 is 5 and the square root of 81 is 9. So, we have also one-dimensional coordinate system made up of a number line called axis. So, it refers to a straight line divided into equal parts. So, nakita po natin yung ating axis po or number line po. So, number 0 shows that the point of division called the point of origin. So, ang example po natin dito ay nasa, yan pong 0 dito. Subintervals refers to the subdivided equal parts of the line. So, the absolute value of x is equal to x if x is greater than 0. Or we have also negative x if x is less than 0. And absolute value of x is 0 if x is 0 naman po. So, yun po yung ating absolute value. We have also two-dimensional coordinate system. Need two values to present pairs able to form xy. Value of x, the first component, and is known as the abscissa. So, meron po tayong ordered pair xy. And the value of y is the second component called the ordinate. So, in an ordered pairs po. So, xy, x is a real number and y is also a real number. So, in rule method, x is an element of R and y is an element of R po. So, yung R po ay symbol ng real number po. If you're going to present two-dimensional coordinate system, we have x and y axis po. So the horizontal line represents the x-axis and the vertical line represents the y-axis. So we have 4 quadrants here. So subdivided into 4 quadrants. Or for quadrant 1, both x and y are positive. For quadrant 2, we have negative x, positive y. For quadrant 3, both x and y are negative. And for quadrant 4, we have positive x and negative y. So yan po yung ating mga numbers po within the axis po. So positive po yung nasa right and negative naman po yung sa left. So 0 po yung dito kasi siya ay yung ating origin. So ang coordinate ng ating intersection is 0, 0. So positive y sa taas, negative y sa baba. In this first point, P1 or point 1, it is located at the first quadrant. Since the x and y coordinates are both positive. Point 2 is found at the third quadrant, since x and y are both negative. Next point is located at quadrant 4. We have positive x, positive 3, and we have negative y, which is negative 1. And we have also the last point, point 4, which is located at quadrant 2, since we have negative x, which is negative 3, and positive y, which is positive 2. And this is at quadrant 2. We have also coordinates that can be found in the x and y axis po. If x is 0, and yung ating y coordinates have values, so ibig sabihin, nasa y-axis po yung ating point. Pero kapag 0 naman yung ating y, ibig sabihin yung ating point is within the x-axis po. Let's come now to the properties of real numbers. So these properties, which are called actions, form the very foundation of arithmetic and algebra. So ito po yung pinaka-basic natin to learn the operations of integers po. We have closure. So for any real numbers a and b, the sum denoted by a plus b is represented using the property or the closure property for addition. And the product denoted by a times b represent the closure property for multiplication, which are also real numbers. We have the next property, which is the commutative. For any real numbers a and b, we have a plus b is equal to b plus a for addition. And we have a times b is equal to b times a. To define it formally, this statement states that the sum or product of two or more numbers is not affected regardless of the orders to which the values are added or multiplied. So, pag commutative, regardless of orders. Example, 3 plus 4 is 7. If we're going to arrange the values, 4 plus 3, the sum is also 7. Another, for multiplication, 3 times 4 is 12, which is also equal to 4 times 3. So, yun po yung ating commutative. Let's proceed to associative. For any real numbers a, b, and c, the following statements are true. A plus b, or if we're going to group a plus b, added by c is equal to a plus the sum of b and c. So this is the associative property for addition. For multiplication, we have a times the product of b and c is equal to the product of ab multiplied to c. For multiplication naman po. So if we're going to explain it further po, the statements above mean that the sum or product of three numbers is not affected regardless of the grouping of values. So, for associative, regardless of grouping. So, if we're going to group 2 and 4, for addition, we have the sum of 6. Added by 3, we get 9. In another case po, if we're going to group 4 and 3, so we have 7. Added to 2, we get also the same answer of 9. For multiplication, we group 2 and 4 and find its product, which 8. Multiplied to 3, the product is 24. In another way po, if we're going to group 4 and 3, the product is 12. Multiplied by 2, the product is also 24, which is the same po ng nasa left side po natin. So, yun po yung ating associative product, regardless of grouping of values. For distributive property of multiplication over addition. So, pinagsama pong multiplication and addition. So, for any real numbers A, B, and C, the following statement is true. A times the quantity B plus C is equal to AB plus AC. So, this is the distributive property of multiplication over addition. The statements above, or the statement above, says that the sum of two or more numbers, when multiplied to another number, is equal to multiplying each separately, then adding the products. For this example, we have 3 multiplied to the sum of 5 and 3. So we have 3 times 8, which is 24. So if we're going to apply the distributive property of multiplication over addition, we are going to multiply 3 to 5 plus and 3 to 3. Then, add po natin sila. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 9 is, 3 times 3 rather is 9. So if we're going to add 15 and 9, we get the sum of 24. So, the value in the left and in the right hand are equal. So, yun po yung ibig sabihin ng distributive property of multiplication over addition. Existence of identity element. So, we have identity property. For any real numbers A, there exist real numbers 0 and 1, such that we have A plus 0 is equal to A. A times 1 is equal to A. So we have identity element for addition and we have the identity element for multiplication. The real number 0 is known as additive identity, and the number 1 is called the multiplication identity or the multiplicative identity. For statement A, it explains that any number added to 0 will result to that number. And in statement B, we're going to multiply 1 to any number. The result is the given number po. So we have 10 plus 0 is equal to 0 plus 10. This is equal to 10. And 10 times 1 is equal to 1 times 10, which is equal to the product of 10 po. We have also the inverse element. For any real numbers A, there exist real numbers negative A and 1 over A, where A is not equal to 0. For addition, we have the inverse element, yung ating negative A, that will arrive to 0. For multiplication, we have a times 1 over a, or the reciprocal of a, is equal to 1 over a times a is equal to 1. For addition, we have the negative or additive inverse. And for multiplication, we have the multiplicative inverse. So the above statement states that if a number is added to its negative, the result is the additive identity. In like manner, if a given number is multiplied to its reciprocal, then the result is the identity element, which is 1. In this example, 4 plus negative 4 is equal to negative 4 plus 4. The sum is 0. For multiplication, we have 4 times 1/4 is equal to 1/4 times 4 is equal to 1. So, yan po yung ating additive inverse, and we have also the multiplicative inverse. Let's come now to the operations involving signed numbers. So, we have positive and negative numbers, which are known as signed numbers. So, we have 9, positive 9, negative 6, positive 9 plus negative 6, or 9 minus 6. So, ganun po. So, addition. The numbers added are known as addends, and the result is called as sum. So, recall ng basic terms po natin in addition. So, if we're going to have two positive integers or positive numbers, the result is positive. So, if we add positive 10 plus positive 11, the result is positive 21. If we're going to add both negative numbers, negative 10 plus negative 11, we have negative 21. So we add the two numbers and copy the sign, which is negative. Let's have different sign numbers. We have positive 10 and negative 11. So if in this case po, we are going to subtract 11 and 10. So 11 minus 10 is 1. And since the sign of the bigger number is negative, so the answer is negative. But if we have negative 10 plus 11, so we are also to subtract, but we are going to copy the sign of the bigger number. So in this case po, we have positive 1 po. So nakita nyo na po yung ating way on how we are going to add signed numbers. So I'll repeat. If we have same sign po, we just add and copy the sign. So if the sign of the two numbers are positive, so the sign of the sum is also positive. If we have two negative addends, the sum is also negative. But if we have different sign or signs for our addends, we subtract and copy the sign of the bigger number po. For subtraction, subtrahend refers to the quantity subtracted from the minuend. The result is called the difference. So in this case po, positive 15 po yung ating minuend po. So we have positive 15 minus positive 11, we have positive 4. So, kapag nag-subtract po tayo, and we have same sign po, we just subtract. But, if we have negative minus negative, ang mangyayari po dito, mag-change po ng sign yung ating, mag-change po yung sign ng ating subtrahend from negative, magiging positive po. Then, yung operation po natin ay magiging plus. So, magiging negative 15 plus 11. So, magkaiba na po yung sign nila, positive and negative. So, sabi ko kanina, in determining the sum, so kapag magkaiba po yung ating sign, we subtract and we copy the sign of the bigger number. So, in this case po, yung negative 11 magiging positive 11. So, negative 15, ito ay magiging plus, plus 11 is negative 4, since 15 is bigger than 11. And the sign of 15 is negative. In this third example, mag-change po ng sign yung negative 11. So, magiging positive po siya. So, magiging positive 11. Then, this minus sign will become plus sign po. So, positive 15 plus positive 11. Ang sum po natin ay positive 26. Dito naman sa ating last example. So, ito po ay 15 ha. Negative 15 dapat 5. Negative 15 plus 11. So, mag-change kayo ng sign ng positive 11. Maging negative 11 siya. And this minus sign again will become plus sign. So, negative 15 plus negative 11. So, same sign na po. Add po natin siya. So, negative 15 plus negative 11 is negative 26 po. So, ang sign po nila ay parehas na negative. So, ulitin ko lang po, ito po ay 15. Negative 15. Kaya ang ating sum is negative 26. Next, for multiplication, the numbers multiplied are known as the multipliers and the result is called product. So, yun po yung ating terms po in multiplication. Kung titingnan po natin, if we have same sign po, ang ating magiging sign ng product ay positive. So, in these first two examples, positive 9 times positive 4 is equal to positive 36. Same with negative 9 times negative 4, the product is also positive 36. So, I'll repeat po, in this multiplication po, the rule is if we have the same sign, the product is positive. And for the third and fourth, we have different signs. Positive, negative, negative, positive. So in the third, we have positive 9 times negative 4. The product is negative 36. And in our fourth example, negative 9 times positive 4, the product is negative 36. So to summarize these examples, if we have different signs or if our multipliers have different signs, the product is, or the sign of the product is negative. So yun po yung ating tatandaan po. So for division naman, the inverse of multiplication, the symbol A over D is used to show that A ay A over B po yan. Is divided by B. The quantity A is known as the dividend and B is the divisor. The divisor is the quantity that divides the dividend and the result is quotient. So in this division po, B or the denominator must not be equal to 0. Since if our B or denominator is 0 or the divisor is 0, we have undefined form po. So for the first two, same with the rule of multiplication, if we have same sign po ng ating dividend and divisor, so if we have positive 18 divided by positive 9, the result is positive 2. Same with the second example, if we have negative 18 divided by negative 9, the quotient is positive 2. And for our third example, positive 18 divided by negative 9, the result is, or the quotient is negative 2. And if we're going to observe the last example, negative 18 divided by positive 9, the quotient is negative 2. So same rule with multiplication. So if we have the same sign, the quotient is positive, or the sign of the quotient is positive. And we have different signs, the sign of the quotient is negative. So after po nating madiscuss yung ating tinalakay po, all about real number system, this time po, mga kamatuto, ay magkakaroon po tayo ng exercises para malaman natin kung kayo po ay natuto sa aming tinalakay. Handa na po ba ang lahat? So, pwede pong kumuha ng papel at ballpen po para sa ating mga exercises po. After po, madiscuss po natin yung ating real numbers, which is all about sets. We have the Cartesian coordinate system, the properties of integers, and operations on integers din po. Are you ready to our mind exercises? Let's start with exercises 1. So you're going to tell which of the following sets are finite or infinite set, or we can pronounce it as finite set or infinite set po. Let's start with number 1, the set of hair in your head. Can you count it po? So this is an example of infinite set, since we cannot count the number of hairs we have in our head po. How about number 2, the set of whole numbers? So pag sinabi natin whole numbers, these are numbers or counting numbers kasama po ang 0. So can you count it po? So we can say that this is an infinite set din po. For number 3, the set of integers. So pag sinabi po natin integers, we have the positive and the negative integers. So this is an example of infinite set also. The set of books in your room. Can you count the number of books you have in your room? So we can count it po, so we can say that it is an example of finite set. The set of honor students in your class. How many classmates sa class? So we can count it po, since we have only limited number of students in a class po. So we can count students who got honors po. Applying the roster method, we're going to list the elements in the given set. So na-discuss po natin, we have two ways in describing a set. And these are the roster method and the rule method. So in roster method, we describe the set by listing the elements that belongs to the set po. Or we can write the set using the rule method by describing it using a brace and a statement po. Let's answer number 1, the set of whole numbers less than 10. So what are those whole numbers? So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So those are the elements that belongs to this set po. Let's have number 2. The set of natural numbers less than 11. So pag sinabi po natin natural numbers, these are counting numbers less than 11. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So hindi po kasama yung 0 sa ating natural numbers. Number 3, the set of positive integers divisible by 4 and less than 35. So what are those positive integers? So we have, so if we are going to name this set as P, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and 32. So hindi na po kasama yung greater than 35 po. And we have number 4, the set of even numbers between 2 and 20. So what are those even numbers between 2 and 20? Can you list it po? So this is the answer. We have 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. Very good. And the last, the set of odd integers from 3 to 11. So, ibig sabihin, kasama pa ba yung 3? Yes. So, we have 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. So, yun po yung ating way on how we describe set using the roster method. Next exercises po natin, we are going to identify the property illustrated from the following. So, ano po ulit yung ating mga property? We have closure, we have commutative, we have associative property of multiplication and addition, And we have the distributive property over multiplication over addition. And we have the additive identity. And we have the inverse identity din po, or inverse property. Let's start with number 1. So, what property is illustrated in this example? 3 plus the quantity 12 plus 6 is equal to the quantity 3 plus 12 plus 6. Any guess? And the answer is, what's your answer? The answer is associative property for addition. Pag sinabi po nating associative, this is way of grouping. Next, we have number 2, 2 pips times 1 is equal to 2 pips. This is the identity property. Number 3, 4 times 6, or the quantity of 4 times 6 times negative 3 is equal to 4 times the product of 6 and 3. This is the associative property for multiplication. And the number 4, 7 over 5 times 5 over 7 is equal to 1. This is the inverse property. So, yan po yung ating inverse. Then, for number 5, we have the quantity j plus t is equal to 1 times the quantity of j plus t. This is distributive property. And number 6, 25 times 3 is equal to 75. This is closure property. Number 7, we have 38 plus 12 is equal to 50, which is an example of closure property also. How about number 8? Negative 8 plus 8 is equal to 0. So this is inverse property, since negative 8 is the additive inverse of 8 and the sum is 0. For number 9, we have 37 times 10 is equal to 0 plus 37 times 10 is equal to what property? This is the commutative property for addition. And the last one, for number 10, negative 2 times 5 times 7 is equal to 7 times 5 times negative 2. This is an example of commutative property for multiplication. So, ilan po yung ating nakuhang tamang sagot sa exercises na ito? Sana naka-perfect po ang lahat. You did great po in identifying the property illustrated from this example po. So, let's proceed to the next exercises. So, nag-enjoy pa po ba ang lahat? I hope na sana na-recall niyo po yung ating mga na-discuss po na topic sa ating exercises. And the last exercises, the application, use the operation discussed to answer the following question. So we're going to apply the operations of integers here to solve the different or these two problems that we have in these exercises po. So we have the first, a mountain climber rather starts from the camp at 18,200 feet elevation. By afternoon, they climbed 1,987 feet. What is their elevation at the time? So ano po yung ating operation na gagamitin? So from the base, nakaakyat na po yung ating mga climbers ng 18,215. So what are we going to do in this 1,987 feet? So we're going to add the height of 1,987 to 18,215. So we have, yan po. So we're going to let x be the elevation at the time. So if we're going to find the total elevation the climbers climbed at that time, so we add 18,215 feet plus 1,987 feet, which is equal to x. So the total elevation is equal to 20,202 feet na po yung kanilang naakyat. Naintindihan po ba? Or do you have questions po? If you have questions po, you can write it in our comment section. Number 2, at 3 p.m., Stephanie's temperature was 105.3 degrees Fahrenheit. By 7 p.m., her temperature had dropped to 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. What was the drop in her temperature? So, in this question, or in this problem, what are given? So, we have 105.3 degrees Fahrenheit and 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the operation to be used? So, if we're going to analyze the problem, what was the drop in her temperature? So, we're going to subtract, or we're going to use subtraction to find the drop of temperature po. So, let's have the solution. So, we're going to let x be the drop in her temperature. So, if we're going to find the drop, so subtract 198.6 degrees Fahrenheit from 105.3 degrees Fahrenheit. So, the drop in her temperature is equal to 6.7 degrees Fahrenheit po. So, I hope po na sa ating mga exercise na binigay ay natuto naman po kayo or na-recall po yung inyong mga natutunan sa ating na-discuss na aralin. Sa susunod po, patuloy po kayong manood ng aming mga videos po para yung inyong mga prior knowledge po sa mga different lessons sa math ay ma-enhance pa po.
And here are the key takeaways from the lessons for you to remember. The set of real numbers is made up of all the rational or irrational numbers together. Whole number is a number which has no fraction attached. Another one is counting or natural numbers is a set of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on as used in counting. It is a matter of choice whether 0 is included or not. While rational numbers can be written in the form a over b, where a and b are both integers and b is not 0. Inversely, irrational numbers can only be written in number form using no symbols, as in never-ending, non-repeating decimal fraction. An irrational number cannot be written in the form of a rational number. To generate irrational numbers, it is only necessary to write out the natural numbers, and it could be go on forever without repeating. We also talk about set, which is a collection of objects such as letters, numbers, or symbols, etc., which is defined either by listing all the objects or by giving a rule that allows a decision to be made as to whether or not an object belongs in that set. It is usually shown listed or defined within curly brackets. We also talk about different kind of sets. One of those is the universal set. Universal set is the set which is first defined by list or rule, and within which of the statements that follow must be interpreted.
So, thank you for watching po, and we are hoping to see you in our discussions for the next chapter po of this math series lesson po. So, thank you for watching once again, and I hope that you learned something again today po.